My name's Cliff Bleszinski. I'm the design director at Epic Games, and I'm currently working on Gears of War 2. Gears of War 2 takes place 6 months after the events of the first game, and winter is coming on fast, and the Locust Horde are back, and this time around they are able to sink entire cities. Humanity has fled to this location called Jacinto, and all of the cities that are next to it are sinking, and if the trend continues, Jacinto itself will fall. And now what humanity needs to do is essentially strike back against the Locust, go underground into their home world, and find and eradicate them once and for all. So it's a very, very dark story, but it's also very personal, because it's also about Dominic Santiago and his search for his wife. He's getting very, very frustrated with his search for her. Delta Squad, of course, is back. We have Marcus, Dom, Cole, and Baird. Carmine is back. We're not really saying how Carmine is back, but he's everybody's favorite green soldier. Of course, Hoffman and Anya are back, Anya being, of course, your dispatch. But we also have Chairman Prescott, who's the main leader behind the Coalition of Ordered Governments. And we also have Dizzy, who's the driver of the truck, cowboy hat and all. He's got a lot of character. And then Ty Caliso, who is essentially kind of a Pacific Islander type spiritual warrior who is incredibly tough. And he's a very deep, kind of interesting and unique soldier. So today we're having a big hands-on session with the press, and they're able to play a lot of the competitive multiplayer. So they're playing Wingman, which is essentially 5 teams of 2 players. It's almost kind of like a free-for-all in the Gears universe meets cooperative, also with the last man standing twist. We also have Submission, which was formerly codenamed Meat Flag, in which players have to take a stranded, knock them down, and take them to a predetermined location on the map in order to win. And then we have Guardian, which is essentially Assassination 2.0, in which each team has a leader, and that leader basically provides respawns for the team that he defends, and once the leader's gone, no more reinforcements. Those are the modes we're showing off, and the journalists really seem to be enjoying curb stomping and taking each other out. So the first and most important tweak that we've implemented in the multiplayer is this idea of stopping power, whereas players get shot with bullets and they will physically slow down now. And this is going to greatly reduce the amount of players doing the magical shotgun roll and jib enemies online that has become ever so popular in the first years. That really wasn't the game that we intended to build, and we want players to be supporting each other, flanking, providing suppressing fire, and things like that. We found that when we implemented stopping power, that players sometimes had these standoffs that weren't being broken, and we decided to implement the idea of a concussive force with smoke grenades that doesn't hurt players, but it does knock them essentially kind of flying around like a rag doll, kind of like bowling pins being knocked over. And you can stick those onto the wall, you can toss it in blind fire, and once those land, players will scatter everywhere, and it's a great way of stirring up the pot, so to speak. We've also implemented an ink grenade, which is essentially a poison grenade that players can use as kind of an area of denial to flush enemies out of any sort of area that they might be camping in. We have piles of new weapons, and we've tweaked the heck out of the cover system. The first Gears, the game was about 85% where it needed to be as far as the responsiveness of cover, and we were going to be as close to 100% in Gears 2 as possible, and really make what I believe is the definitive combat cover system for the industry. A certain amount of the features that are implemented in Gears 2 were basically some ideas that weren't able to make it in the first game. For instance, crawling when players are down but not up. We didn't have the time and the animation support, and now seeing somebody crawl away from you where they're trying to mash the A button and get away, and then grabbing them and taking them as hostage is always tremendously fun. If you get close to them, you have several options. Basically, every single colored button on the 360 controller does something. The A button will essentially take that enemy as cover, take them as a human shield. The X button will do a curb stomp, and this time around you flip them over and actually step on their face, which is very gruesome. The B button will do a quick custom animation, which is a big melee bomb to finish them off. And the Y button does kind of the coup de grace, the extended finishing move, usually involving slinging a sniper rifle like a sledgehammer or using the torque bow blades to pop somebody's head off or something else equally gruesome. The Hammer Burst was a very useful weapon in the first Gears, but you know, we always felt like we could tweak it and make it a little bit better. So we redesigned the gun model, made it a fully automatic but slightly slower firing weapon than the Lancer, added in a bit of a zoom ability, as well as the players have the ability to fan the fire button to fire the shots as fast as they can, at the trade-off of the fact that the gun will kick like crazy. We've also added in the Gorgon, which is a semi-automatic pistol, which when you take somebody hostage and have that weapon can be a very, very deadly 1-2 punch of an offense and a defense. And then we've also added the Scorcher, which is the Gears flamethrower, and if you get a perfect active reload with this weapon, you're flame will actually go about 25% further. And we have a couple other tricks up our sleeve. For example, you can do an active reload with the Centaur tank, which will cause your explosive tank shells to fire out faster, which really lays waste to a lot of Locust crowds. When we were basically planning and implementing the Gears multiplayer maps, we always wanted to kind of build everything around Hook. And it's either a unique location or it's a kind of level gimmick or an environmental hazard. So in River, the idea is basically that this is almost a two-fort setup with a beautiful mountain hamlet, whereas Gridlock, of course, is the classic Gridlock now with cars that explode, by the way. And security is based around the Hook, that there are security fences that will jib players if they attempt to walk through them. We also have a very, very cool and easy-to-use party system that allows players to essentially buddy up in a group and then find another group to fight against and essentially stay online together before the match, during the match, and after the match. We also added in a screenshot mode that players can take pictures and upload it to a separate web server to check out images of their game, as well as achievement tracking. We have a war journal that tracks the player's screenshots and his achievement progress and his collectibles he finds in the campaign. And basically just adding in a ton of extended multiplayer functionality so the players can be playing the game for weeks and months to come after it ships. Gears of War 2 will be coming out this November exclusively on Xbox 360, and we look forward to gamers checking it out.